Holy Toledo. Welcome, everybody. Glad to see you had no problems checking in.
Typical mind games from Rulin Racing.
All right, well, we're all here for Beyond the RC Grid.
Thank God.
And as normal, there was technical difficulties. But
We're
I get
everything the other way.
That's right. The cool thing about it is Rick and I had some bonding time without you, Paul, and I was complimenting him on his hairy mole. Oh my god!
I would like to address this microphone that you're witnessing. I checked the mailbox for our podcast the other day, and the ladies from the Pins and Needles Quilting Group out of Walla Walla sent some microphones for us to use so they could hear all of our witty banter. I'd like to personally thank Edna, Eunice, and Cinnamon with an S.
Poor Cinnamon.
For the nice note and microphones.
Shoot, Rick. I just couldn't help myself. Well, there it goes again. My bad. So sorry. You were saying?
Well, I just wanted to give a little shout out. We appreciate our fans, and any mail or gifts or cards are always read and documented.
Speaking of documentation, no, this is not a joke on the political state of the world right now, but we need to document that I'm Eric Kroll, Paul Rulin to my left,
checking
Rick
in.
Biggins, that's right, Rick Biggins, aka he hired a housekeeper, because I see that Rick tidied up his table behind him. Our audience appreciates that.
I see something behind him. What is that on the wall?
Oh, that looks like more garbage.
Thank you for pointing out our sponsorship, RGB Racing's sponsorship for this week, related to the egregious trespassing incident that was witnessed on Sunday at Tarkar.
I'm going to need a little more than that, since I was absent and our audience doesn't know what happened. So, RGB, can you elaborate on the trespass situation?
Well, hopefully you'll be able to insert the 30-second video that someone was kind enough to document what was going on. As you know, Sunday mornings I wake up, have my conversation with baby Jesus, eat some oatmeal, drink some Ovaltine, and then head out to the track.
Dear Lord Baby Jesus, we also thank you for my wife's father, Chip.
Set up my brand new canopy with the aid of Rulin Racing. And I believe, did Tom help us, Paul?
Yes.
In that endeavor? Yeah. Nice shout out to Tom. I was enjoying the shade. When out of the corner of my eye, I witnessed a 51 5-window Chevy truck come rolling in all stealth. This gentleman hops out tough, thinking he's going to get the upper hand on me. Luckily, I called him out on his invasion of my turf. With the 49, I have from the Michigan border down to Airport Highway. That's been established as my turf. And he comes rolling in hot and heavy, thinking that he can come up on my home base, which is Tarkar. So that was a boundary infraction. I called him out on it, and he wasn't so tough. But to my surprise, John Stevens, a younger racer out there at Tarkar, was enjoying my fresh shade from the canopy, and he sensed weakness, and he made claims that he was going to start bringing a classic car around. which I had to shut that down before he even got any more ideas. But then I noticed the rest of the day, he had his sleeves rolled up, flexing his muscles. So that might be a continuing saga that I'm going to have to deal with.
I don't know how to help you with any of that. We're trying to encourage people to show up to Tarkar, and you're threatening them.
Well, like the sponsorship says here, boundaries, respect the boundaries, and we'll welcome anybody to Tarkar. But there are boundaries in place. So,
what is
Listen,
the photo of? Can you zoom in so we can see what is the photo of down at the bottom?
that's a border wall, which we may have to explore if that's needed around Tarkar.
well, listen, speaking of borders, I have to step in here. Today's show, let me touch on it real quick, because since we had such a late start, I wanted to tell everybody that today we're going to talk about Blackswamp RC, and we're going to have our first guest on the show in approximately 10 minutes. Dave Brock is going to join us, and when he hops on, Rick and Paul, I have some questions I want to ask them, and then you can hop in there wherever you feel fit. Rick, it might throw your dinner plans off a little bit. There's a possibility you might eat after 7 o'clock for the first time in your life. But we'll do the best we can. Paul, what'd you call it on the question round? Speed? What'd you call that?
Lightning round. It's a lightning round.
So we'll have a lightning round to get Rick in bed. Or what's on tonight? Is it bed or is it? What is it, Paul? What's his show?
A Matlock.
Matlock.
Matlock is coming on, and then I believe he watches Murder, She Wrote after Matlock.
Tomorrow is Juneteenth celebrations, so I would like to get to bed at a reasonable hour so I can get up and observe Juneteenth.
Listen, tomorrow is June 19th is what it is. And I'll be at work making my wallet great again all day. How about you, Paul?
I will also be at work.
Rick, is it possible you have a government job and you get the day off?
That may be one of my income streams. Will be working for the United States of America, the best nation to work for. And we may be observing Juneteenth, which I will do during the day. And then in the afternoon, I will go over to Blackswamp and visit with our guest with my new Nascar setup that I have here in screen. It's ready to go and seems to be super fast and podium ready.
It definitely is not podium ready. There's no stickers on it.
I have a quick question for you since you're going to Blackswamp tomorrow, correct? For the NASCAR night.
I think it's
when you were down in Texas at the Stevie Wonder High Performance Racing School, did you take both their oval curriculum and their road course curriculum? Because I can attest they are two very different driving styles. I just wanted to throw that out there for you.
And Rick, real quick, he's worried because you seem to be one-dimensional in everything you do, including your glassware.
In relation to the happiness and outreach of joy that Juneteenth tomorrow,
June 19th.
I will not take Rule and Racing's bait and psychological warfare.
All right. Well, you can go that route if you want, Rick, but I'm taking some notes down on this show already, and wait till you see this edit. It's gonna be beautiful. Apple's got all the tools, baby. All right. Well, listen, we got 6 minutes, so let's do our own speed round. So we're still in segment 1, and I just want to touch base on your weekends real quick and your week, how they're going so far. Anything you guys want to report?
Past weekend? Past weekend was great. Went down to the Finley Cruise, took about 1,500 photos, Came over to Tarkar for the race. Had a great day. We won't get too much into that because I'm sure we're going to go over that in a little bit, for results. But no, I thought it was a very nice day and spent some time with my father, the patriarch of Ruland's Racing, came out to watch the mains. So it was a good day.
That'll be a topic when we discuss the mains on that development. As I was mentioning off camera, my air conditioning condenser has given up, and I have a substantial investment out coming out of my pocket on Friday morning to have the condenser replaced.
Well, it's been hot one day. Dave is in the queue, so
Ooh,
I'll touch on this
excellent.
I'll touch on this real quick. Just like your RC cars, your AC gave up. Wait, hold on. There we go. Little drum roll. All right, Rick, you cannot reply to that. I'm gonna throw jabs and I'm gonna let Dave in, and then you can stew on that for a few minutes. There he is. Hey,
There
Dave.
he is.
What's up, fellas?
Not much. Just stirring up some drama.
Dave, we welcome
There
you
you
to the
go.
podcast. There are some rules. One is to try to keep it tight and try not to extend this podcast beyond 30 to 35 minutes.
Dave,
I
I
can
would
sit
like
here and not say anything and just be just as happy. So,
Dave, we don't listen to Rick very well, so we try to keep him up late.
there you go.
Dave is our first official guest on the show. You may talk for as long as you wish. Eric and I have nothing to do except for go to work tomorrow. So
Yeah,
if
same here.
RGB needs his beauty rest, then, he can hit that leave button at any moment.
There you go.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome. So, Dave, you tell us a little bit real quick. You're with Blackswamp RC, right?
Yes.
The club. And then when you touch on that, tell me again about the 1/8 racers as well.
Yep. That tends to be a kind of a confusing point. The Blackswamp RC Raceway is the name of the track itself. The track is owned and operated by the 1/8 Racers, which is our nonprofit RC club. So the 1/8 Racers was officially formed back in 1968. There's claims I can't officially approve it, but there are claims that it is the oldest RC club. I'm going to say this side of the Mississippi for sure, but it might be in North America. The oldest operating, never went away, never shut down for a few years here and there. It's the oldest RC club pretty much around. Primarily, it's the 1/8 Racers being 1/8 scale. It started as an on-road asphalt RC club. The last known track that they had asphalt was behind the, I always get this wrong, Woodville Mall, where the Woodville Mall got torn down years ago. But the track was still there. They still had fairly fresh pavement on it. And nobody really kicked us out of there, so we just kind of stayed there up until a couple, probably about 3 years ago now. The city, or whoever it was, the local ordinances, finally said they wanted to develop that property, put in some, I don't know if it was retirement living homes or housing development of some sort, along with like some shopping and whatnot. So, they basically said, hey, we're going to have, dozers and all kind of construction equipment in here. we really can't have you guys back here anymore. So we pretty much packed up the track and whatnot. A lot of the boards and stuff we donated to the Cincinnati RC track. They have their, I guess Cincinnati would be our closest asphalt track that's still operating down in Lebanon, Ohio, down into Warren. I think it's Warren County Fairgrounds. So that's kind of our, for the lack of a better term, our like sister track. We do every year we get together with that group. We either go down there and race, usually in sometime February, into February, and then in March timeframe, maybe middle of February, March timeframe, they come up to our big Blackswamp Challenge race. So
okay, well, we need to know that stuff because you know that all of us three are new, and we've sort of just asserted ourselves into your world.
Sure.
And we're just having fun with the podcast. And while we were doing it, we decided we wanted to try and help the hobby. So having you on and people that know about the history and how everything works is great. Just like when we're at the track, when you guys help us.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure it all out. And I had a friend of mine ask me, who the hell are you guys? You just started. And I said, well, that's kind of what we're doing. We're just trying to have fun and learn as we go. And we'll have smarter people around us to help us get to where we need to be. So
yeah, absolutely. And honestly, that's really the best way to learn is, to have guys, and I'm not saying I'm the guy because I definitely am not. I'm obviously not in my rookie season still, but I'm still not a seasoned veteran by any stretch of the imagination. I started racing outside of just bashing around in the backyard, but my first race I ever attended, oddly enough, just happened to be at Tar-Car. It was toward the end of their 2019 season. I ran a stock slash. That was the very first time I ever ran. It was me and my buddy Tim Hammer. We went to Tar-Car and there was two of us and they put us in a stock slash class. So we went out there and just, tooled around the track, trying to get around as best we could. And I mean, they were bone stock, they weren't the Traxxas modified, like, I don't know, a lot of people run today, our trucks were not set up to go out there and run around that track. We didn't really know what the heck we were doing. We were using, still using the hard stock factory tires and stuff like that. So, I mean, we did the best we could to just get around the track, but yeah, we had fun. That was the important thing. And then from there,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say from there, we ended up, cause it was toward the end of the season, and that was when the 1/8 racers were opening their track, for their, because they were outdoor running asphalt. They were getting ready to go into their indoor season. And we went down there and I knew they ran oval, so we went down there to run oval.
Okay.
So,
well, how has I know we had COVID and everything, but since 2019, how has the hobby at the local tracks gone? Has it gotten bigger?
There's been spurts of growth and spurts of decline, if that makes sense. Every year you gain a couple new drivers, and then you lose some drivers. Family stuff comes up. I know one summer I didn't run at all because I had some, some personal stuff going on that I really couldn't just, drop in and go race RC cars. So, stuff comes up, and that's life, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, this past year, the 2024-2025 season, at least for, the Blackswamp, I don't want to be as bold to say as we had, record growth, but I tell you what, those low-C Nascars, have absolutely rejuvenated interest in racers coming to the track.
What about new racers?
Oddly enough, we've had a number of new racers come because of the Lucy NASCARs.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, when they were first released, they were what, 180, 190 bucks, something like that. I think they've gone up to like what, 250, 249, something like that now. But yeah, we've had, all kind of new people, anywhere from like, kids that their grandpas bring in, or their dads, hey, come, let's go race. Jim and Paul, up until recently, I never met them. I didn't know who they were. They just happened to pop into our track one time and, running NASCARs and everything else with us now. So, that's been great.
Yeah, that's a big race family. And I know Jim and Paul, they're known in other circles as, what are they, what are they, Paul? What do they call you? Psychological warfare?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, they've been accused of some.
We're like
Dave,
Dale Earnhardt.
Dave, I hope when the winter season starts down there at Blackswamp, a code of ethics would be nice. Maybe posted on the wall, because at Tarkar, Ruling Racing and their dirty tricks is might be forecasting one of those deep declines in numbers that you've said happen.
Well, we're not going to let that happen. That's why we're doing the show. We would like to do anything we can to help grow the hobby, because I'll tell you, Nathaniel got me to a race, and I just stood there up at Sandpit and stared at everybody and watched what they were doing. And all I could think of is, I can do this the rest of my life. Like, it's a hobby I can do for the rest of my life. And then Paul got into it and Rick got into it. I would like to help grow the hobby. I really think race fans, television race fans, let me rephrase that, people that watch racing, maybe even people that go to the sprint tracks, sprint races and stuff, if they ever would come out and take in a race, it'd be hard for them to not buy a car.
Absolutely. Honestly, I wish the club was in a better position where we could actually stock, 4 or 5 cars, to have for sale. But that just puts a hardship on the club that, we just can't take on right now. Plus, the club, it's a nonprofit club. We're not, a gentleman had said it, part of one of our club members, we're not a store. Unfortunately, but we're not, we're not a business, we are a nonprofit organization. We have some parts, tires and tire prep stuff that, we use and sell at the track. But at the end of the day, we're a nonprofit club that, we get together and we just enjoy racing each other and whatnot. And we always love having new people. The track has definitely changed. The Blackswamp, it's definitely evolved. For the most part, a lot of it's still the same, but just certain aspects of it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even sure where they came from, but we have the chairs out by the mall entranceway into they popped out of the blue. We never had them there before. But through a course of a race day, or even during like some practice sessions that we have, like every now and then we'll get together, an evening a week or something like that, and go down there and practice, or when we're open during the season, we have every Thursday night I run what I call a NASCAR night. Primarily that's guys who have NASCARs will show up and run, but we also run, if we have enough of them, we'll run other classes as well, like VTA or 25.5 WGTR, are some of the on-road classes we run. But we'll go through, we'll set up the oval every now and then, just to be a little something different for the NASCAR guys. It's a little harder to run some of the other classes when it's just oval, but it can be done. Euro Truck seems to be a big one too. A lot of guys are running Euro Truck, and I have one. I have never, me personally, I've just never really liked it because in my opinion, there's a lot more easier cars to drive. Euro trucks can be a little wishy-washy, top heavy, and but I mean they are fun. They definitely are fun, especially when you're out there and you're racing against your buddies and stuff like that. You're not taking it serious. You're just a fun class for you. That's when things get really interesting, and you hear guys laughing on the driver's stand and stuff like that, and you'll hear the Lexan banging around out there because they're aggressively running their buddies and stuff like that. So that's always fun.
Yep.
That's always fun.
Well, there'll be four more Euro trucks at Blackswamp. We've all purchased them.
Awesome.
So
Yep, we all got the fever.
Awesome. No, like I said, it's a great class. It was something that I just didn't really resonate with. But I mean that's what's fun about the RC hobby too. You'll have some guys that'll run 12 scale, 12 GTR. Then you have other guys that'll run go out there and run 10 scale pan car, or and then there was a kid that started racing last season with us. He started with a pan car, and he struggled, and I'm like, man, this kid's gonna quit. Finally I just like, hey, come here, drive my car. It was a car that I took up to some bigger races and stuff like that, and I'm like, I really don't want you to destroy it, but I turned the radio down, slowed it down a little bit for him. Just go out there and try to run some laps. And he went, holy moly, this is a lot easier for me to drive. So you'll get some of that where you'll think you're starting with a class that you really want to run. And by the end of the season, you may end up in something completely different. It happens. He sold his pan cars and bought a touring car, and he's doing really, really well now. He definitely comes down and practices with us quite a bit, and he's it's great to see him and watch him grow and get faster and more consistent as the day goes on. And his I guess his racing career progresses. That's always cool to watch.
So that helping mentality, do you talk about how to grow the club at all? Do you do anything through the year to get the name out there?
We kind of struggled with that for a while, because at one point in time the club was, the club had so many members and followers, where the indoor track really wasn't the moneymaker. It was just something for everybody to do through the winter, so they weren't bored. Because it's kind of hard to go out and race cars on the asphalt when there's 6 inches of snow out there. So they never really looked at trying to grow the club or or anything from an indoor aspect. So at least not that I saw anyway. Up until a couple years ago, I become an officer of the club, so I'm definitely more in front of the club and stuff like that now. But and I had multiple conversations with like our president and other members of the club. I don't know what to do to help grow and get new people in. Like all of us, each day we're getting older and older. Well, our members are doing the same thing. So, as some members can't come in, or whatever, we need to get some, younger blood in there, or, the track's gonna, it won't be able to sustain itself, which is really what we want. So we've done a few things that, didn't really work out the way I fully expected it to. But the one thing I think's kind of helped is actually doing like the Thursday night NASCAR night and stuff like that. That definitely has seemed to pull in a lot of new faces and stuff like that. That just they don't come during the weekend when we race, oval on our Saturdays or road course on our Sundays, but they show up on NASCAR night, just to turn laps. Some of them, they've gotten better. Some of them haven't. But the whole point is just, to have fun. I mean, that's the whole, really point of RC is, have fun. And, a lot of people, they don't, the one thing I'll admit about our track and our club, I know some of our newer guys and stuff have gone, different places. It's our ability to banter with one another in the pits, the camaraderie that we have and we share in the pits, compared to like some other tracks, they're there to race. They don't, they don't really care about helping you out, or that might be too harsh, but they're not going to be open about, their car setups and this and that and stuff like that. And I'm kind of the opposite. Especially our oval cars, we run, or I run, on carpet oval. I run the Hack Fab late model, Losi, conversion kit. I run that class, and my car is one of the fastest ones at our club. And I'm an open book with it. Somebody come over, what did you do to your car? Why is it so fast? I have no problem pulling the body and handing it to them. Here, take a look at it. And there, I had some people ask me, why do you do that? Because if I just go out there and just constantly beat on guys and they don't get any better, they're going to get frustrated. They're going to quit running. Plus, it's, the equivalent of clubbing baby seals. It's not fun to do. So if I can make like, especially like some of my close friends, I make them more competitive, or I make them faster. At the end of the day, what that's going to do is push me to make me faster. Whether I can get more out of the car, or I just clean up my driving line, or, I just get more consistent. That's what I love. I love when, fast guys come into a class and I have to chase them, because I will keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and try to run them down and catch up to them, or I'll go over and ask, especially like on-road guys, on Sundays, I sit amongst quite a number of really fast guys, and we're always like, all right, this is what my car is doing. What do I do? What do I have to do to fix this? Because I'm kind of lost. My bag of tricks I have aren't working. And the guy will be like, come here, let me see your car for a second. He'll be, all right, try this, and this. And I go out there, and if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I'll put it back and try something different. So,
yeah, and plus, as a new guy watching the fast guys, whether it's your carpet, your off-road, on-road, I've seen on YouTube. I can't even imagine trying to drive a real fast on-road car.
It's impressive. Very impressive to watch.
I mean, they're crazy fast.
Yep. And consistent. They hit their marks every corner. They hit their mark. Yeah.
Well, Paul, Rick, any questions for our guest?
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, Dave, we'll, I plan on coming out and visiting you tomorrow with my new NASCAR. And you mentioned that you have some of that tire prep stuff for people that find that hard to find. So, I'll be purchasing that tomorrow. And I think that's always nice to let people know that you do have some things that the average guy is going to need when they come down there to see you.
Sure. Yeah, we stock a few parts. Like we stock some tires for like touring car, the sedan, the slick tires. We have those. We have some USGT tires, which used to be a really popular class, on-road class that we used to run. People just quit showing up with them. So, but we still have, some tires. I know a few guys have bought, the TTO ones. I think the Euro trucks, the the Euro truck's a TTO1. They bought TTO2 cars, the Mustangs, and instead of running the Tamiya tires, we actually said, hey, it's going to be easier to run the USGT tires on your cars. So we ordered some tires up for the guys, so we actually have a few more sets there. We have a few motors. VTA runs a spec motor. We have a couple of VTA spec motors. VTA tires. We have VTA tires. We carry WGTR tires, the CRC tires. We carry those. And some 12 scale tires for the rubber tires for 12 scale. We carry those. We don't have, it's not a big selection, but we do stuff that, that people tend to go through, perishable items like tires. I consider a perishable item, because, tire dope or tire prep. Sorry, that's, it's just what we call it. But it's a softening compound. So it'll soften the tires up. One of the adverse effects of softening up a rubber tire is it's going to wear a little bit faster. And I do, at least in my VTA car, I used to turn a lot of laps with that car. I was always that, if I was down at the track, chances are that car was out there on the track running, whether it was just for, 2 or 3 batteries for that night, or it was a full race event. But that was the one class that I always ran. And last year, I probably went through 4 or 5 sets of VTA tires on that car. So, but like I said, I turned thousands and thousands and thousands of laps, especially like, right before like a big trophy race or a multiple day race or something like that, or we were going out of town somewhere to go race. I would just, be at the track constantly, just turning laps, preparing to go to a bigger race, which inevitably, you're gonna start, going through your tires and stuff like that. So,
Paul, you're up.
I just thought maybe you could take a minute to discuss the location of the track, because I'm sure people maybe don't know where it's located. Maybe when the main racing season is for the track. And I heard breaking news on Sunday. There is some potential remodeling going on at the driver's stand area. If you could touch base on that.
sure, absolutely. We are located. The actual address of the track is 1234 North Main Street in Bowling Green, Ohio. That is in the Woodland Mall. It is. I kind of joke around about it. It seems like it's like the Northwest Ohio's best kept secret. We know it's there, but it seems like nobody else does. We don't. I would like to, before the indoor season. I can't hold it. Don't hold me to it or make me promise it, but I would like to actually get a banner hung outside on the wall of the mall. But there is, if you go toward the Elder Beerman main entrance to the mall, there's a coin store on the left side if you're facing the mall, and I can't remember the name of the gym right now, but there's a gym to the right side. If you go in that entrance, you'll walk down toward the thrift store. We're right to the right of the thrift store. As soon as you walk in and the mall opens up, you'll see our track. You can't miss it once you're in there. That, and during our big races, guys will drive around the mall looking for like a sign or something again. They don't see it. I also want to, if I can't get something hung on the face of the mall, maybe one of those like sidewalk signs, like those A-frame sidewalk signs I can just put out there when we get there, especially for the big races, because guys do have it. They know we're at the mall, but they just don't know where in the mall we're at. It's not a big mall, but So yeah, we're going to be starting. We normally start beginning of November. Is our season opener. I think we're tentatively scheduled the last Sunday in October. I think is our first on-road race this season. Oval might be the Saturday before that Sunday, that same weekend. The season, our indoor season usually goes to the end of March. I think because where Easter falls, I think the first week of April, I think. We may go a week past that. So it'd be like April 12th, 14th, something like that. So that's our season. As far as the driver's stand, yes, we had a discussion. I was down there last Saturday before we went to race in the dirt. I was down there talking to some buddies of mine, and Rick came up. We haven't had anybody really come to the track that's been in a wheelchair. So up until now, it hasn't been an issue. But to help accommodate him, we are going to be taking a section of railing. We're going to be taking it out. We're going to extend it out about a foot or so to allow a wheelchair to slide up a little bit further, so they're sitting more in line with the rest of the drivers. And then we'll have the middle rail will still be up, and then the top rail will be removable. So if Rick's not there or whatever, and guys want to stand down there, we can put that top rail back in. But we're definitely going to make it as safe and comfortable for to accommodate Rick and others in that situation, as long as just like the safety of all of our racers are our number one importance, especially when you're out there marshaling.
I noticed, Dave, Paul, Rick, and I went to what's that called? The RC swap meet. What's that called, Paul?
Yeah, it was I think the Glass City. It's mainly geared toward airplanes, but they are trying to gear it more toward all RC products. And they actually had a race. It was the first annual race, indoor carpet race at the Seagate Center. I think it was in March or April. It was actually a really nice event, and Rick and myself both ran the Traxxas / modified, and then I ran the Nascar. So it was a real nice event. Probably be
and that's sorry, Paul, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Eric had some good ideas while he was there. He was watching and kind of observing the race.
I took some video. I did notice while we're talking about handicap, with Rick in the wheelchair, there was a couple other people at that race, handicap as well. So to me, this hobby is like, Rick, you thoroughly are enjoying it, right? You love getting out.
Yeah, this I've been looking for a hobby, one to enjoy with my friends, and something that's just less physical. I raced hand cycles for 15 years, and that just wore me down. So when Eric prodded Paul and I to get on these cars, I was hesitant at first, but I'm glad I made the jump at that Traxxas, and as you guys see, I got 4 or 5, maybe 6 more cars now that I'm trying to get involved with racing. So.
Dave, he told us he was only buying one.
Yeah, it's a gateway.
Yeah. But going back to that Glass City, I don't know if you heard about it, Dave. Did you see anything on it?
Yeah, I was really bummed about that. Unfortunately, we were wrapping up our indoor season. So we we had already had our schedule filled out. So our indoor season, we run our oval, we run a points basically all season. So we had a couple races that, or a couple racers that were like, "Hey, we need to come down and race," and then I was fighting for the points championship in a couple of the classes I was running. So, we just couldn't cancel or reschedule because that would have just pushed our season out even further. And then it started getting into racing at Tar Car, and things started to overlap, or it would have started to aggressively overlap. And we didn't want to do that either. So I was really bummed, like we didn't hear about it until they had already scheduled it, because I would have worked with them.
That's what I was going to ask you, just to grow the club and the hobby. And like Paul said, it was, they're trying to get more towards other RC other than the airplane stuff. You got like a whole new audience down there. And I'll be honest with you, even though it was, how many entries were there, Paul? Do you remember? 30?
Yeah, it was, I would say, probably between 30 and 40. There was a couple different classes that were running. But it was amazing how many people just were like, "Wow, this is really neat." And then you started talking to them and you said, let them know, well, they run these cars down in Bowling Green, Ohio, just like this. And people had no idea. So maybe next year the club could get a table at the show and just advertise, for it, or maybe get with the promoter in conjunction and help run the actual race.
Yeah.
I don't.
No,
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I don't know anything about the promoter. I know that's probably a lot like wrestling tournaments that I've been involved with my kids. The money goes somewhere. The help is usually a club, and there's all that going on. So I don't know how you would work that out if the guy would want help, but definitely having a presence somehow, I think, would be good.
Yeah, I definitely would. As we get closer to the next season, I'll be reaching out to him. I don't know him that well. I know of him, but I don't know him that well to we're not I think we might be connected on Facebook. I can't remember. I it's Facebook, but yeah, I definitely want to reach out because it's kind of twofold. One, it gets our name out there a little bit more too. At the same time, if he's putting on an event in our backyard, I would think he would want the local clubs to be present because that also says something.
No, I know it's that way in every activity.
Yep.
So
I would have loved to have had our racers up there. Even if it wouldn't have been a points race, it would just been an exhibition race for us or a trophy race for us. But we have a pretty big following of the little 18, or I want to say 18 scale, the little 1RC cars. We have a pretty big following of those that come race at our track. We literally set up a smaller oval just for those cars to be to run on. Even having people take a look at those, and then we can get our higher horsepower cars out there, like our SK mods and stuff like that have the potential to run a 3-second lap. You put 3, 4, 5 of those on a track where they're ripping around the corner pretty quickly. That's really what's going to draw people in is that that wow factor. When you see cars like that ripping around the track, and then you show them other classes like the low-C Nascar that is maybe way more calmed down or more entry level. That's what gets them in the door.
yeah, those are just some thoughts that we had that I didn't race in that, but I went down and had fun. It was pretty cool atmosphere wise. The track what do you guys think of the track? I thought it was okay. I wasn't crazy about the railing and all that, but it wasn't banked at all, was it? It was a flat oval.
Yep, perfectly flat.
Okay.
It wasn't bad, but yeah, you got to figure that's just a track that they kind of threw together just for that event. So
yeah.
Yeah, we all had fun that day, and it was a good day.
If I remember, you breached the wall.
Well, there may have been some type of sabotage. I'm not quite sure what went on with that. But we were racing too big of cars for that small of a track, just like how crazy it got down there at Blackswamp when Dave let us bring our tracks on that track.
Yeah.
You're asking an awful lot of us jokers in that class to keep it tight on those smaller carpet courses.
Yeah, the king of keep it tight can't keep it tight. Well, listen, Dave, we really appreciate it. You can either hang out with us and talk about Sunday, or we can go our separate ways. It's up to you. We're going to go over the Tarkar race on Sunday. I was not there, so I'm relying on just these two guys, unless you want to stick around.
I can stick around for a little bit.
Okay. Well, let's jump into that a little bit. I will let Paul, why don't you lead it since I wasn't there? You can go ahead and tell me about the day, and that should get us rolling, and I'll pull up the results and stuff here while you're talking.
Okay. Yeah, it was I had a great time. Weather was good. Track was definitely very water laden and heavy in the morning. Got some pretty good grip with the Traxxas / Modified. I was one of the first couple people out on the track and ran a couple 7.8, 7.9 second lap. So it was definitely very grippy first thing in the morning.
It says you had 43 entries.
Yes, I would say probably a little bit light on entries due to the fact that it was Father's Day. So a couple of the regulars were not there, but there were a couple new people that showed up. So, yeah.
That's always good. Always good. Let's
pull up the mains, Eric, and we'll go.
You want to hit the mains?
Yeah, I mean that's
Dave, Rick's getting ready to watch Murder, She Wrote. Well, all right, let me share the mains here.
While you're sharing the mains, I have to ask Dave. Dave, you have a great saying right before we start our mains at the Blackswamp, especially for the newer racers. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, now you're putting me on the spot. I say a lot of stuff. Something I imagine has something about keeping it clean or doing the best you can, or I don't know. What do I say?
I believe you say something along the lines of, all right, everybody, let's try to work together. It's a little bit of give and take, and you're not going to win this race in the first corner. I feel as though that is a great statement that some of the drivers at Tarkar need to hear from time to time. So I just figured I'd throw it out there.
Yeah, I know I do say that a lot, or I say the opposite about winning in the first corner, depending on if I'm messing around on the mic or not. But yeah, they some people just don't know. It's a race. It's it's either a certain number of laps or it's a 4 or 5 minute race. You're not going to win it in the first corner. There's plenty of time to make up and get past the leader, so you don't have to go start charge from the back and drive through everybody, wreck everybody just to get to the front. But no, that's funny. Yeah, I know there are times I do say that at the beginning of the races.
I've been a victim of that several times.
I feel we all have.
I even got turned sitting on the grid just before they said roll them out. So I started, like I said in the other podcast, cockeyed, but I made up for it.
Yeah, I think that happened. I don't think it was this week. I think it was the week prior we raced. That happened in the street stock race where we took off, and next thing I know, there was like 4 people sideways. I'm like, what in the heck just happened?
Yeah. I would, the one thing I would change is I would run one full lap in line.
Yeah, I when I run the races down in BG, I think I do that. I was like, let's run a full parade lap, and then, especially on oval, I'll catch you the second time going down the backstretch. So,
yeah, you do.
Yep.
At Tarkar, I have not seen that. I've seen a few restarts, but
yeah, they kick them off a little fast,
and they get real jumpy. There's this one orange and white car. He starts like passing you right away.
You gotta watch that guy.
I don't know what he's doing.
I think that's fake news. My first lap is usually 12 or 13 seconds. I need to get on it faster than my peers out there.
All right. Well, enough beating up Rick.
I have a question for Dave. Hang on. I have one quick question for Dave. In your opinion, do you think it would help the racers in all classes to have some sort of a white line painted on the dirt at Tarkar, or some sort of marking on the wall to show you where the start finish line truly is?
Yeah, they used to paint the track. They painted like the starting grid where you would line up and then had those numbered. I haven't seen that this year. I know last year they used to do it, and they painted 2 stripes where the start finish line was, which I think might help out the newer people. But whenever I run races or whatever, I will always say, as the race is coming to an end, keep running until I call out your name, because I don't want somebody to pull over early. Because I've done that in the past where I thought I was done, and I wasn't even close to being done yet. I still had like one more lap to go or something like that, and I pulled off the track, which just basically kills your qualifier or whatever. But it is what it is.
I've done that. I have done that.
Yeah, I think we all have.
So, all right. Well, let me go back to this. I left that up there. That's not going to be great television, but let's see here. Spec Traxxas modified B main. What happened, Rick? You're not in the B main.
That brings up a topic that I have once again involving Rulin Racing and their dirty tricks. I made the A main fair and square. Had clean racing all day long. Once Casey up in his tower made the announcements of what the mains were, I saw Paul check and see that not only was I in the A main, but I was in front of him in qualifying.
Well, you're getting ahead of us, but right here it is. You are correct. I'm sure I'll hear a different story from Paul, but before we do that, let's check out the B main real quick.
The B main was one heck of a display of utilizing inside, outside, and the middle of the track. That was some crazy racing going.
Possibly also utilizing other cars for brakes.
Are you saying all lanes were open?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Including,
All right.
including off the track.
Well, listen, Jerry Steele, let's give a big shout out. Hold on. You guys, I'm sorry. I found this earlier. Yep. I found the toy button. Big shout out and applause to Jerry Steele and Mark. Who is Gene Greer? Does anybody know?
he's a new guy.
Yep, newer. Well, not new to racing, but I think he said he's been away from racing for a while. They pit in the corner usually, turn 3.
Okay.
He raced
Well,
it with his son.
congratulations to those 3 for beating up on Colton, who's like 5 years old. And I'm just going to put it out there that they better beat Colton now, because Colton's going to start beating everybody. The son of Tony.
Very possible.
As soon as that kid figures it out, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yep. So that was the first B main for the Traxxas stock. Box stock sprint A main. Paul, should we talk about the box stock real quick? Do you think, is Rick aware of what's going on in Bad Apple land?
Oh, I think you should talk about, let's talk about, everybody loves a box stock sprint car.
Yeah, let me do something here.
Not be bringing up your browser history.
It's clean, baby. I'm just going to throw this up here, Dave. Guess what I bought?
Fantastic. I love how that class is growing astronomically. That is fantastic.
Yep. So I saw Paul walking away with this box stock class. He's obviously not been teched yet, and I couldn't allow him to continue his winning ways. So I'm going to try and put a stop to it.
There you go.
But let's see what happened, because Paul, you started first.
I did.
You did not. You ended up 5th.
Correct.
What happened?
There was a couple, shall we call them, racing incidents. Now,
Okay.
Dave, I'm glad Dave stayed on for this. Dave, I have a serious question for you. Could you answer the fact to me, or maybe let the viewers at home know, that driving an open wheel sprint car versus driving, say, a street stock or a late model that's not open wheel, there's kind of maybe a little bit of a different driving style due to the fact that the sprint cars are maybe a little more fragile than the other cars.
Exposed.
Yes. Anytime you go open wheel, whether it be like an F1 car or a sprint car, or other classes out there that have exposed front A arms and tires out there. Anytime you touch a rotating tire that's exposed, the result is usually very impressive. Because cars tend to start, it throws the cars up in the air, and they get some really nice bounces out of them. It's happened with my mod sprint car. I've gotten bounced out of the track before because me and a competitor got too close to one another, and it's going to fling them. So normally, when you're running in a class where you have open wheels like mod sprint, or in this case the low C box stock sprint car, you tend to do a little more of that give and take. You try to stay a little further away from your competitors. You don't try to dive into the corner knowing that you can. Days of Thunder probably coined the term Rubbins racing. You can't really do that with open wheel cars. You can get away with it like in your late model classes or your street stock classes, like you mentioned. You can kind of go in there and door slam a fellow driver, and hopefully the cars don't spin out, but they just kind of bounce off of one another. You're not really going to bounce off in an open wheel sprint car. So
Dave just hit the nail on the head as to the A main. for the low C box stock sprints.
I can see
I
the
feel as
graph at the
though
bottom.
we had a couple newer, like way newer racers, and there was definitely a little maybe using each other for breaks, getting a little too close. So there was a couple wrecks here or there.
Yeah,
Some
kind of
may say they ran out of talent, if you will.
Yeah, it happens with me a lot. But you can kind of see where your bad luck started to occur, and then it seemed like it just you struggled to recover from that one, which definitely happens in racing.
Your ship sank, Paul.
I was going for the 3-peat. It didn't happen in the low C box stock. I may have redeemed myself later on in the day.
Oh, well, let's keep moving so we can get there. Tom Tingley won that class, fastest lap 8.1. Tom's pretty well, let me look. He's super consistent.
Oh yeah.
92%. Yeah, he's consistent. So that was the box stock sprint A mains. A main for the Traxxas modified. Now this, Rick,
blow that up a little bit. Can you hear it?
We're at right there?
No, just you can see where everybody started. Rick was in front of me, I believe, in fourth?
Yep.
Did he start in fourth?
He started in fourth.
Where did I start there?
Sixth.
Okay. I'm just laying out the groundwork here for you.
Dave, I wasn't there, so I'm guessing that Paul finished ahead of Rick. Do you want to take that bet?
Man, I don't know. Yeah, I'll take that bet.
Well, you should, Dave, because rule in racing, when it comes to the mains, they employ multiple tactics. They especially when they're starting where they should be at the end of the row for the A mains.
It's called a grid, hence Beyond the RC Grid. You got to learn the lingo if you're going to be on the show, baby.
Paul was in a panic when he saw that I was fourth. I saw him on the phone making frantic calls, and 15 minutes later, in rolls the patriot of the family.
Patriarch.
And I don't hold any grudges from what he did to me the prior week. I offered him my chair in the shade of my fresh canopy. He rolls down his window and says he does his heckling best from his car, and proceeds to commence with psychological warfare. So I was at a disadvantage on the line, being upset, and then a few laps in, one of the racers from the B main tied up my front wheels, like you were talking about earlier, and that solidified my day in the A main.
Can you bring that grid up for us? The little graph.
I can. I wanted to stop sharing so people could see Rick as he was, story time. So they want to see who's talking. But
okay.
Hey, real quick, if they caught your wheel, Rick, this is a segment we have to check on every week. Was that a bird mating incident?
As a bird, it ran both of us underneath the tube. So we got tied up and then locked into the tube. So my day was done, but Paul had a clean race, and he took advantage of others' misfortune. And
so you're saying he made good choices?
No, I'm saying he took advantage of other people's misfortune, some of which he may have caused prior to the race, and some that wasn't his fault during the race.
Just go down to the bottom there to the graph. There we go.
Let's see, where are you, Paul?
What color am I? Yellow?
You're gold or whatever. Gold. So you're sixth.
Let's see that gold. Now, what color's RGB?
You dropped down to seventh, Paul.
I did.
What was it like back in the back of the pack?
I had to channel my inner RGB racing to know what it's like to be back there.
those first two laps were a mess.
Well, Rick, it looks like you were part of the mess. Paul dropped to 7th, and he immediately went to 4th. You went from 4th immediately to 7th.
Was that on lap 2 or 3?
Yeah, 2 and 3.
So I guess my phone's lagging here. Okay, RGB Racing potentially just saw nothing but my rear bumper from like the 3rd lap on for the main.
That's true.
Oh,
Okay.
I will admit that I was knocked out early, and I wasn't consistent at all for the rest of that race. And I just wanted that race to be finished. So
Yeah, that's kind of tough to come back from when you get stuck under the, in part of the track. Like you said, he got stuck under the pipe. That is tough to come back from, especially when you lose, a lap or two, when the marshal has to go out there and get you. So yeah, that's just some tough luck right there.
Well, Paul, you ran an 8-second lap. You took first. Donnie, I think I'm going to start calling Donnie birthday suit. I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but
I just want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to Donnie. Okay, Donnie, if you look back at the bar graph, he got to the lead at a pretty decent rate. I think Tom was in the lead and had an issue. His car might have got caught on the pipe and kind of got sucked into the infield. And Donnie and I went for quite a bit. If you look at that bar graph, Donnie was in the lead. I was in second. We were kind of playing a little cat and mouse. And as I told you on the phone, I'm sure this is a story that people will be telling their children for the next 30 years. On the final lap, I was able to get to the inside going into turn 3 on Donnie and make the pass for the win.
Yeah, I didn't even look at the times. I mean, it
was a drag race down the front stretch.
Yeah, you're 2/10 ahead of him. That was a close finish.
Absolutely.
Or I guess 0.15.
And we both kept it clean. No one wrecked the other one to get the win. So it was just some good old-fashioned racing, and some lap traffic played into it.
Very good. Very good. It looks like a awesome finish. Actually, that's not on the video, correct?
It's on the video, but I think video from Tim Hammer. Unfortunately, the camera got moved a little bit, so I believe you can just see turn 2 and turn 3.
I thought he fixed it for the mains. We'll check it out. But anyways, Donnie took second, John Stevens third, Tom Tingley fourth, John Stevens fifth, Jerry Steele sixth. The Alien took seventh, and Mark Hopwright, is that how you say that? Took eighth. So we got to keep moving. Dave's getting restless. I see it.
Let's go over Dave's class.
Well, we're going to go over them all real quick. Short course modified A main, Ted, Tim, and Jerome. And no surprises there. Jerome won that. Tim second, and Ted third.
Ted's car in that race was on a rail. Unfortunately, he ran out of. He didn't put enough gas in her.
Uh-oh.
It either
for the second week in a row.
Yeah, it either thermaled or it lipo cut out. And almost in the same spot as it did the week before. I think maybe on the same lap.
Wow.
It was right at the start finish line, and his car just stopped.
That's a crummy way to end the day.
Yep.
I've had a few incidents like that. I know a guy too who also didn't have enough juice for the mains. I believe that was at the Glass City, wasn't it, Rick?
I may have miscalculated my battery strength.
We'll do a show on that. Moving along, street stock A main. What do we got? We got Brannigan Word finished first. About almost a second ahead of Jerome. So he clearly, I don't know if I know who he is, but he must know how to drive if he's beating Jerome.
Very much so. He ran there last year, and this is his debut for this year at Tar and he did not bring his sprint car. I believe he brought his late model and one other car. So very
Street
nice
stock and
guy.
late model.
He's the gentleman that. Okay, yep, he's the gentleman that helped me out, Eric, when my servo broke on the Traxxas / modified last year.
Okay.
So
well, he won it. Jerome took second. Dave, you took third. You were flying too.
Yeah, I took advantage of some bad luck that happened on the track. Some racers, the track it was interesting Sunday. It started off super slimy, slick in the first qualifier, and then toward the mains it got better. But the rains that we had before going into the Friday into Saturday, and then pretty much a large portion of Saturday, really soaked that track in, and I did, especially street stock, really fought that car there. It was like driving that car on eggshells. You come out of the corner, and when you've hit full throttle, either the car was going to go or you were lifting to try to chase the car back down to get it squared back away and straightened out, and then you could start rolling the throttle again. So it was a good race. My car definitely was not turned up all the way. Last week I definitely had it. I definitely gave it all the beans last week, but this race here, I definitely did not turn it all the way up. And it showed. If you go back and watch the Tim's video, unfortunately, the street stock race, still the camera was turned slightly, so you can see the back stretch driver's stand in turns 2 and 3. But you could definitely see that blue car of Tyler. He was definitely running me down. There's no doubt about it. He ended up with some bad luck, which gave me a little bit of breathing room in the middle of the race. And sure as not, he basically chased me back down. If we would have had another 4 or 5 laps, I definitely was going to have my hands full trying to keep him behind me. He's definitely a pretty good racer, and his car's fast. But I was able to cross the stripe before him. But like I said, his car was fast, and mine definitely wasn't turned up because I definitely didn't have enough forward bite like I was hoping for.
Yeah. No, it looked like a good race. So like you said, Tyler took 4th, Joe 5th, Scott Schneider 6th, and Tim Hammer 7th.
Poor Tim.
I wonder he have an issue.
Yeah, he's a real good friend of mine. We pit together in my trailer and stuff like that. Our last race, the race prior, his car, it was on a rail. His car was fast. He gets a little excited, I think, sometimes coming out of the corner, and just pushes his car a little bit too much. But part of that's just he's still learning like all of us. I'm not a dirt season expert by any stretch of the imagination. I'm still learning too. But man, his car went from really great the week before to no matter what we did, we just could not seem to get that car to go around the track and come out of the corner. The car just had like no forward grip. It didn't matter what tires we put on it or whatever. He definitely struggled in that race. I wish I knew what we could have done to get his car better, because I definitely really enjoy racing side by side or nose to tail with Tim.
Yeah, that stinks. Oh, let's see where we at. We're on 5. Let's see, short course late model A main. Rick Biggins, you're in this. Anything you want to say before we pull the results up?
No, I wasn't even sure I was going to race that car last week, because it's the last week with that shoddy body that I have. My new body's coming tomorrow. I figured since I was there for the day, why not? And my goal was just to be track aware. And when I saw the the guys coming up behind me to swing wide, that was my goal for the whole day regarding the late model. So I was just working on my skill set of driving versus trying to do anything else.
Well, I'm disappointed in you, Rick, because I just pulled the results up and you finished fourth, which is not last. I expect you to be last. I'm very disappointed in you. You're going to have to work on that.
Well, I'll probably be at the track every day next week. We're working the new setup, pulling on Jerome as much as I can, so I can see some market improvement at the next race.
Well, it's a nice resource. Craig Sobecki, I think I know who that is. I think. Do you guys know who he is?
Craig's he's a very seasoned driver. He's
okay.
He's a very fast driver. He's definitely a Tarkar local.
Gotcha. Well, he won, laid some laps down. He was second for a few laps and then took over first and never gave it up. 6.7, 96% consistency. That's pretty good driving.
Yeah, he's got that car flying.
Tyler was 5 seconds behind him, but on the same lap. 6.9 was his fast lap. So yeah, Tyler, Jerome, RGB, and J.R. Stevens round out that class. So it was all right, Rick? You enjoyed making the laps with that car?
Yeah. Like I said, that car isn't the body's just terrible, and it's just keeping it on the track and keeping out of everybody's way. That's what I wanted to do. But I'll definitely be a more aggressive racer in the future. So
thanks for the warning.
Yeah.
Well, in all fairness, Rick, that you're going against some pretty seasoned heavy hitters in that class. So
yeah, I truly just like that class. That's why I picked it. It seems like it's more of a bruiser type of situation, versus the pretty boys of that last class that you run, Dave. I think there's lots more accepting of people touching each other, and maybe.
Oh, there it is again.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Yep.
When I get my new body.
Yep. That's definitely a good class. I ran that class for a number of years when I first started running dirt oval. So.
All righty. That was. We did not do 7, did we?
Not yet.
Okay, 7. 10 scale late model A main. We'll go right to the results. Look at all those fast guys. Brannigan won again, so he won a couple races Sunday, huh? Tony was 2 seconds behind him. Dave was a lap down. Craig was a lap down. Jerome was a lap down. And Scott must have had some issues. I don't know. Do you guys remember what happened there with Scott?
I don't remember what happened with Scott. I don't know if something happened to obviously something happened to his car, because I think he pulled it early, but I don't remember. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
But Brannigan is definitely one of the faster racers, dirt oval racers that I've competed with. And,
Gotcha.
And he's a great racer to compete with too. I have one of the cars for this class too that I've just struggled with for a while. And Brannigan, when he showed up, he's like, "Let me see your car." Unfortunately, I didn't have it with me. I had somebody else. He took it home to go through it with a fine tooth comb to see what's actually wrong with it. There's something I couldn't figure it out. I don't know if there's something in the setup of it, or there something's broke, bent, hairline cracks, something. I don't know. I actually have parts right in front of me that it's storming out right now, but if it lets up, I'm going to drop off to him a new diff and stuff like that, so he can put in my car for me, so we can go test it. But Yeah, Brannigan's a great racer. I love running against.
Yeah, you'll have to point him out to me if he shows back up when I'm there.
Oh, absolutely. Look for the top spot.
Oh, let's see. What do we got? This is the last one. Mod Sprint A main. So Tony, Steve, for everybody that hasn't heard me say it, he's the track owner at Tarkar. Ted Hammer, Marvin Davis, and Dave. Dave, anything you wanna say before I pull the results up?
Definitely wasn't my day.
Okay. Well, we'll get right to it then. Let's see what happened. Dave, you finished where you started, but you were only a lap down. Everybody was not that far apart. Tony's very fast with his sprint car.
Tony is an absolute animal on the track with that car.
Yeah.
Just
Steve, what's that, Paul?
Look at that graph.
Yeah, the sprints know what's up. They don't.
See that? There's like not a whole lot. No, probably wrecks. It's just clean racing.
Yeah,
it
is.
There wasn't I guess you wouldn't call it a wreck because it didn't involve, but I spun out early on in the race, which put me behind. I think Marvin might have wiggled coming out of a corner. I don't know if he went completely around. And Ted, I think, might have had an issue in that race, but that's probably the best finish my sprint cars had at Tarkar in a long time.
Really?
Yeah, I've struggled with corner exit, and that car and my late model was really, really bad. But I really struggled with it. Marvin, end of the previous week's race, him and I kind of sat down, went through my car a little bit. We made some shock changes to it. Still got some more work to do to it. But at one point in time, Tony and Steve were running nose to tail, I think, the entire race. And when they come by to lap me, I went high to let them underneath me because I'm, if they're racing nose to tail that tight, I'm not going to hold them up. That's that whole etiquette thing goes a long way in my book. And I there's times, some people might say I'm overly nice when it comes to racing because I will move out of people's way and let them by. And I think I might have did that in street stock to Jerome when it was for position. But I knew he had a much faster car. What I didn't know was actually for position until after he passed me. And I heard the announcer, I went, oh, crap.
Yeah.
But
I'll be honest, I've blocked some people that were faster than me, just like in the Traxxas modifieds. But it was toward the end of the race for position. If it was early in the race, I would have just let them go.
If I'm racing the person in front of me and we're in a tight battle and the leader comes up behind me and he's not aggressively racing or somebody's not aggressively racing him, I will hold my line and not let them by. But unless I'm like multiple laps down, and then I'll just say, I don't, if I'm racing for the very last place, then it doesn't matter. But But yeah, normally I will, and it doesn't matter if it's carpet, oval, on road, dirt, oval. If the leader comes by me or catches up to me, and I know they're the leader, I'm going to move and let them go.
Yeah,
because I appreciate that same courtesy back.
Yeah, I've told the story before, but like on the off-road, I got yelled at on the stand when I started, and I was racing another car, and the guy coming up on us was getting held up, and he yelled at us, and I moved over immediately, and the other guy didn't. But it's tough in the moment to really wrap all that at that fast of a pace, to wrap everything around how to it just takes so many laps to get conscious of even the announcer talking about who's coming up on you. And once you pick up on it and you can hear it, it's a lot easier.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a struggle for everybody.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, that's why we continue racing, and we continue, the more we race, against, people we know, or, people we've been racing with for a little bit, we start to, pick out their car colors, maybe not in the Traxxas mod, I think pretty much
Yeah.
everybody's car looks the same. But, like sprint cars, you start to pick out, who's who, and where they're at, and even though you might be going down the front stretch, out of the corner of your eye, you'll see their colors zip down the back stretch, and you can use that kind of as a judge too, to see, am I running them down, or are they rapidly, catching me? So
Yeah. All right, guys. What do you got? Anything else, Paul? Rick? Anything for Dave?
Oh, thanks a lot,
just
Dave, and
thanks for coming on the
I'll see
show.
you tomorrow. What time do you think you're going to be opening up the doors there tomorrow?
I always do my best on Thursdays to get there by 5:30. I'm usually running a little bit late. By the time I get out of work and get home, let my dogs out, let them run around for just a few minutes, and get them fed, and then I take off, probably change my clothes or whatever, and head back down there. I try to get there by 5:30, but if you showed up 5:45 or whatever, you're probably gonna be all set. I try to kick off Thursdays when we race by 6:30. Usually you hear me, I'll announce a couple times that we kicked off, or signups are open. Come up, sign up. If there's a small,
I'm just gonna go and just run a few laps. I don't plan on racing or anything. I want to get some
just try it out.
time,
Yeah.
some time with the radio.
Yep.
And whatnot. Yeah, I don't want to mix up anybody, but yeah, I'll just try to run a couple of batteries and then head on out.
Yeah,
So
that's usually what we do. We'll open up. The doors will be open up by 5:45. Let's say 6:30. We kick off the first qualifier. Usually, qualifiers take 20 minutes. If there's only a couple of them, a couple heats, and then we'll take a 20-minute break. We'll kick off the next round, and then usually by 8:00 we hold the mains. Sometimes a little bit sooner. I only run 2 qualifiers in the mains on Thursday nights. Especially during the normal season, because people got kids in school or whatever. If guys show up with their kids, they got to get them home so they're not out all night, and their moms are screaming at the dads when they bring them home, and whatnot. But so usually by 8:00 I try to kick off the mains, and then a lot of times by 8:30 people are done. I'll turn practice back on. Some people come back out and practice, and usually about 9:00, whatever, I try to get her shut down, so I can come home and let the dogs out again and do what they got to do, and make sure they ate and whatnot, and get myself wound down for the evening so I can go to bed and get up early in the morning and go to work.
Living the dream.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Dave. You're more than welcome to come back whenever you want, and especially when you have like big races and stuff. If you want to get on the show, if you want to share your schedule with me, I'll update my little schedule thing I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just real quick, I'll plug a race we do have coming up. We always have I should say, I think this is the 3rd year we've done it. A summer challenge race we hold at BG. It's a on-road race. It is July 12th. Is our race. It's Saturday.
Here, Dave, let me.
I think you have it on your schedule.
I do. Let me see if I can share. I started putting this schedule together.
I like the way you did that. I like the way you have that formatted.
I was trying to. So I put your link down here of all these tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't fill all this out because I don't know that you had the complete year out yet for the winter schedule.
I don't have it yet. It's something I need to finish putting together, and then I'll get it. I'll get it to you to publish.
Yeah. So July 11th is practice, and the 12th is your summer challenge.
Absolutely. That's going to be a great race. There's going to be if you have that weekend free or that day free, and you want to watch a bunch of heavy hitters battle in some really, really fast classes, be there, because we've got a number of I'll be bold enough to say, probably the fastest guys this side of the Mississippi. Some of the fastest guys will be at that event. And it's always so fun to watch them go out there and battle. And then they're battling with our local one of our local track racers, Paxton. He's 13. And he will go out there and throw it down and finish right behind those guys, if not pushing them. The kid is definitely a superstar, and I definitely thoroughly enjoy watching him drive. I watch him do stuff with that race car that I'm like, wow, I wouldn't even thought about putting it right there in that spot. But he does it and makes it stick. It is very impressive to watch him race.
I'll have to bring the camera out that day and get some footage.
Absolutely.
So
more than welcome.
There he is.
I'm back.
All right, he's back. Yeah, he's back. Stop talking about him. So, all right. Well, that sounds good. Seriously, anytime, come back. I'll get that schedule up to date when I get some more information. And Rick's pulling his yawning routine again. Holy Toledo, it's a tradition.
You can DVR Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah.
Time to wrap it up.
All right, Dave. Thank you.
All right. It's been an honor, guys. Thank you very much.
Yep. Have a good one.
All right. You too.
Let's see. All right. That went well. I think that went well. We can build off of that. And I think that'll help once this gets out there a little bit with exposure for the club.
Yeah. Yep. I think we did pretty well rounded talking about, both tracks. So.
Yeah. And I didn't have to read off the question list at all. Probably should have right off the bat. I probably should have asked them where they were located and all that. So I'll put that in the notes that when we have a guest on, we got to get their information out there right away. So, all right. I guess, Rick, you're dismissed.
All right. Yeah, we'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Yeah. See ya. Here we are.
Show begins.
We went an hour and 44 minutes.
Rick is going to be pissed.
Well, he doesn't have to work tomorrow, so I don't care.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I don't know. I thought it went really well. I think figuring out how to get the guest on, it didn't go as planned, only in the sense that he became available sooner.
Yeah, that's
so
fine.
You, Rick, and I did not get much of our alone time to start the show off with. So
I think
that's
you
all
joined
right.
us at a perfect time because I was kind of dozing off on Rick's story about some nice gentleman that is a car aficionado that apparently was driving past and saw Rick's truck and wanted to stop in, as most car people do, check it out, say hello.
Yeah.
But Rick, he's got those. He's paranoid, everybody's out to get him. So
Rick,
it's coming to fruition.
Rick, I'm available for therapy. I have a couch.
He might need that couch soon.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I think it went well. I don't know if I'll go tomorrow night. I'm probably not going tomorrow night. I got to mow my grass.
I just did mine last night. Just beat the rain. So yeah, I don't know if I'll go out there or not. I might go to a baseball game if it's not raining.
Okay.
So
yeah, let me know. Maybe I'll change my mind.
All right. Well,
All right.
See you tomorrow.
All right. See you, Paul.